Hey, howdy, and a big welcome back to Clemhawks, everybody. I'm Yak and ready to take you through a little bit of this Diamondbacks Twins game here. Not going so well right now currently, so we're not going to worry too much about that, at least until we start seeing things going or unless the comments are asking for it. But my friends, welcome to tonight's live stream. I promised you I'd get something going here for you one of these days after we did it earlier this week. And how about a Friday night? Pardon me. Against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ooh. To do it, down 6-2 currently after the end of the fourth inning. It has not been the Twins' night, obviously, when you're down 6-2 after a couple of innings. 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts for Mr. Devin Smeltzer, who is now sitting at a 3.32 ERA, and I can imagine he will not be coming out to start the 5th inning for the Minnesota Twins this evening against the Diamondbacks in Arizona. That said, Madison Bumgarner's on the mound here today for the Diamondbacks. He's pitching so far so good. Actually, has given up more hits than Smeltzer has through 4 innings. 8 hits, 1 walk, and 2 earned runs for Madison Bumgarner, but that's again why he's an elite pitcher in this MLB league we call our favorite sport, simply because 3.56 ERA, but somehow, someway skirts out of danger when it matters most, and right now he's doing it for the Diamondbacks to have a big lead right now in this ball game. So my friends, last time out when we were doing this whole discussion thing, we talked about the MLB All-Stars, obviously Joe Ryan, we talked about Byron Buxton, we talked about Luis Arias for the Minnesota Twins, all potentially going either to the Home Run Derby or the MLB All-Star Game. And today I'm really not sure what the topic should be or what it needs to be here today, because we've already also doubled up and done a video on those 3 guys that you can check out here on Clemhawks, discussing the merits to each of them, why they need to be there, why they should be there, why they could be there. But right now you've got Gary Sanchez stepping up to the plate here right away. But first off, it's Gio Urshela stepping up in the top half of the 5th inning. So far for Madison Bumgarner, you want to know why he's been able to skirt around and not cause damage against things in terms of hits. Despite giving up 8, he's thrown 47 strikes on 72 pitches as he just got Gio Urshela out to start the top half of the 5th. That'll bring up Gary Sanchez, my friends, who is currently in this game 1 for 2, and so far only batting .221 on the season. Was that a double or anything for Gary Sanchez? It was not. Buxton has a double and a homer so far this game. Luis Arias has a double as well, his 6th of the season. After I was just saying he has not really been putting up the power numbers this year, he goes out there and gets himself a little something extra. Now 2 for 2 in this ball game, batting .360, a solid .360 on the season. Some good old days back in the gaming days, talking about .360. So, with Gary Sanchez on deck, that's where we currently sit going through this, and Madison Bumgarner now in a 1-1 count by the looks of it against things. I can't watch the game up here in Canada. I don't have MLB TV or any of that, so I'm sitting here watching the live tracker on sportsnet.ca. That's how Canadian I am, on a .ca website by my friends. For the Twins, right, I think something I noticed, and this is where I really wanted to begin tonight's chat, is just simply put, for the Twins, June has been a do-nothing month, if that makes sense, right? The Twins have seen their division lead, despite having 37 wins to the Guardians' 32, the division lead slipped to only 2 games. A few days ago, that was 3.5, and in the last live stream, we were talking about by the end of this weekend, that gap being 5.5 to 6 games over the Cleveland Guardians. They've now won 4 games in a row. So, okay, yeah, you know what? Good for you. You're doing the job. You're getting it done. And you are climbing up the standings as the Guardians the way technically you have to, right? Win ball games, win 2 out of 3, win 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. That's how you climb the standings, and away you go in the MLB, especially within your own division. Well, for the Twins right now, they're not quite taking that to heart, right? For the Guardians, they've just beat Oakland and the Rockies. So yeah, you could technically say some pretty easy peasy victories for the Cleveland Guardians over the span of the past little bit. However, for the Minnesota Twins, right, you face the Rays, who are right now in the AL East. Yes, they're a 35-win ball club, but at the same rate, they're a lesser ball club than you in terms of wins and winning percentage. And at the same rate, they're a third-place team in the division as opposed to you, who's sitting in first, right? You should be trying to assert some dominance out there in the MLB after beating up on your own division. But so far, the Twins have failed to do that against both the AL East and the AL Central, or the AL West, sorry. And really, who knows what they're doing against the rest of the teams, right? You win one against the Rays, you lose one against the Rays. You play the Mariners, you win one, you lose one. You win one, and now you're losing another one against the Diamondbacks. And that's what I'm talking about. This has been a do-nothing month for the Minnesota Twins. It's just win, lose, win, lose, win, lose is, as the Guardians charge up the standings, not going to be good enough for you to maintain your division lead the way it was just even on Tuesday. Right? And that's the scary part, is if you're not going to go out there and win 2 out of 3, if you're going to win 1 out of every 2, you're going to have a lot of problems. Yes, the Twins built themselves a nice lead, but you don't want to see this team go out there and win tonight, lose tomorrow, win the next day, lose the day after. That's obviously, when you're talking about being a division leader, nobody stays there by doing that. And that's what the Twins have been currently doing pretty much through 17 days in June. And that's not a good situation. Yes, you can say there's injuries. You can say guys aren't performing. The bullpen's a disaster, whatever you want to say. But at the same rate is good teams figure out how to win. It's an old adage. It's one of the oldest adages in sports. But it is absolutely true when it comes to being an elite ball team in the MLB. Is simply you just go out there and find a way to win when times get tough. And so far, the Twins in June, seeing a little bit of adversity, right? They blazed through the first 2 months and then come in with a decent little go here and have not been able to put more than 2 wins in a row together this month, as far as I understand, as things currently sit. However, Gary Sanchez, I was asking if he had a double, just recently doubled and is now up over to third base after Luis Arias grounded out second baseman Hager to first baseman Walker, and Gary Sanchez on the ground out advances to third. So Arias batting a cool .666 in this ball game, advancing the runner to third base in the top half of the fifth with 2 outs against Mad Bum. So that's where we sit, right? That's kind of the situation as it currently is for the Minnesota Twins. And no worst case scenario, right? The Guardians still 5 wins behind you. That's plenty of time to lose a couple of ball games, get that lead back to where it should be. But again, if you don't start winning here soon as the Twins and winning 2 out of 3 at minimum or 3 out of 4 at minimum, you aren't going to be able to get the job done if the Guardians continue to apply pressure from the spot below you in the standings. And that comes down to, I think, what is it, right? For the Twins, they win 5-0 against Seattle. They're now down 6-2 against Minnesota. They lose 5-0 against Seattle. Prior to that game, they won 5-0. And of course, they won 3-2 against Seattle. So in all of that, right, you win a series, but in 3 games, you score 8 runs. You can talk about the bullpen being bad too, but as the Minnesota Twins, you do have to find a way to go out there and win games. And now technically in the last 4.5-ish games, you've gone out there and scored a total of 10 runs, right? Shutout against the Rays a couple days ago, 3-2 win, 5-0 shutout against, 5-0 shutout for, and now you've got 2 runs today halfway through a ball game. So in 4.5 games, you're roughly scoring about 2.5 runs a game. In the MLB, as a division leader, you are not going to get your job done simply by playing that kind of baseball. And that's a fair accusation. Not that, obviously, I'm up here in Canada. I'm not claiming that I'm not even watching 10 seconds of the Twins a week, more than likely. But as a guy who has done this whole YouTube shtick for as long as I have, I can frankly tell you, when I look at stats and translate them into the geek speak that a guy like me needs to put on YouTube to get you to watch and sit here and talk to me about, is simply put, this is not getting the results done. And trust me, you see behind me, I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan. If you watched All Any TV, you know as well as anyone just how much I know about knowing nothing about a sport at the end of the day. That's just what I'm going to say there. I can talk about nothing all day. Give me stat sheets, give me numbers, and I can interpret them good, bad, otherwise, and always find something to talk about, and that's what I'm pretty good at. So for the Twins, though, same thing, right? Here's the thing. Go further down on the sheet, there's more to know. The Twins are 11th in the MLB in runs. Guess what? There's 6 division leaders. So 5 of those division leaders potentially are ahead of the Twins in runs, but there are also 5 other teams in the MLB ahead of the Twins in runs. That is a problem. Exactly what I was just talking about. The Twins are 11th in team ERA. The Twins are 11th in home runs. The Twins are 8th in batting average. So, right, you all of a sudden talk about being 8th in runs. You suddenly talk about being 10th or 9th in ERA. You talk about getting up to 7th in home runs. You talk about getting one spot ahead to 7th in batting average. And guess what? Suddenly you are winning 2 out of 3 ball games. Suddenly you are winning 3 out of 4, right? Suddenly it makes sense. And this is not crapping on the Twins. They just won a series, right? They won 2 out of 3 against the Seattle Mariners. Despite it being very ugly, they got the job done. So that's not to say, but all of a sudden, right, in a 4-game set, 3 against the Mariners and 1 against the Diamondbacks, you follow it up with now a 2-2 skid against the Diamondbacks, the 6-2 game, Henry, that we're talking about here in the bottom of the 5th. That has not been a good start for the Twins. And as a middle-of-the-pack team in the MLB, you're now trying to sit here and claw out of a 4-run deficit with 4 innings left to bat, minimum, unless you go to extras. So you kind of see where I'm going here. Is it's tough, right? There's a lot of things. If the Twins just ever so subtly improve, they go from here to here, and it's above and beyond what we're getting now, and that we're getting a pretty decent ball. You're getting a first place in the AL Central ball team right now. Now, yes, you could argue if the AL Central was any tougher than it is, you would potentially have big problems. And thankfully it's not. We've done well within the division and away you go. But currently as it sits, for the Twins, you've got to believe, you got to find a way to start winning more ball games. And yes, I see here Jorge Polanco, Nick Gordon, Jorge Alcala, Kyle Garlick's injured. You got a whole bunch of pitchers just up and out, right? Yon Romero, Randy Dobnak, obviously Miguel Sanozo, Blaine Enlow, Kenta Maeda's been gone for this whole time. Cody Stashik, Royce Lewis is out after coming up and electrifying us, and Chris Paddock's out. So yes, you've got some huge players, right? Nick Gordon, Jorge Polanco, and Danny Colombe all out. Yeah, you know what? The injury list for the Twins right now is pretty friggin' ugly, but still, you're talking about a team tonight that is fielding these guys as there's a man on in the bottom of the 5th now against Smeltzer, who's still pitching despite giving up 6 runs in 4 innings, with 1 out here in the bottom half of the 5th inning in Arizona. However, you look at this here, Buxton's out there, Correa's out there, Urshela's out there, Sanchez is out there, Miranda's out there, Kepler's out there, Celestino's out there, Larnach's out there. Guys, these are guys that we have been more or less running for the past little while, and I don't think really, from anything I've read online, anyone's sitting out here crapping on these guys. Yeah, Miranda could probably be batting a bit better. He's 218 batting average, but look at him go. He's got an RBI tonight. So, right, you've got 2 runs tonight. You pick and choose your battles in baseball, and that's not a battle I think anyone wants to pick tonight. So where are we going with that? And Larnach's had some bright spots. So is Celestino. He's batting .324. Kepler, I know I've seen some complaints about Kepler, and that's rightfully justified because we've seen Kepler absolutely dominate at times. I mean, there might be a guy currently suspended by the MLB who, quite honestly, yeah, you know what? Truthfully, without him around, it's tough for Kepler to go out there and dominate because that guy, it was an automatic home run against him every time, right? Truthfully. But end of the day, yeah, would Buxton be batting higher be nice? He's now batting 234 with a 2-hit performance here halfway through this ball game. He gets another hit tonight, and suddenly his batting average is the highest I've seen it all season, other than maybe the first week of the season. And I mean, you look at the Arizona Diamondbacks on the other side. Like, this is just a go get it performance from them here. 6 runs. Their leadoff hitter's batting a $129. Rojas, one of the best batters on the team by the looks of it, 258. Luplo, 185. Walker, 199. Varsho, 248. This Kennedy guy is literally in his first MLB game. Thomas, 273. Hager, 200. Perdomo, 229. Like, I know the Diamondbacks are bad, and they are down bad this season, but end of the day, like, the Twins are not fielding a lineup because of injuries that is incapable of beating teams 2 out of 3. That's what I'm arguing here. Is this Twins team is good enough to go out there and beat teams 2 out of 3 still, despite missing some key pieces, whether it be in the rotation, whether it be wherever, is the fact, yeah, they can still very well, very easily get this done as the Minnesota Twins currently. That's end of the day. I don't think there's any argument there, and the fact that there could be any argument there, that's baseball. But you look at Polanco placed on the 10-day DL. Kirilov's back up from the minors. I don't know why he's not starting in this game, but end of the day, I guess you give it to the guys who have been here. Elliot Soto was outright to the minors yesterday by the looks of it. And yeah, right, Sonny Gray came back the other day. Looks like Kyle Garlick's gone to the minors, and there's a whole bunch of guys that have just been up and around and moved around and all that, but it's tough, right? It's tough when the bullpen isn't there, you're playing mid-tier baseball, and you're a division leader, and there's just so much more on the table for you if you could just figure it out, I guess is what I'm saying. And currently, right, Smeltzer not helping himself. 9 hits against, 5 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. Not that he's a big strikeout pitcher, we already know that, but this guy legitimately sounds like a road to the show character that I just hit random buttons on a couple of times and said, good enough. Buddy Kennedy's his name. Not making fun of him, but is in his MLB debut, and this just facts. And Alex Thomas is safe on a fielder's choice plus error by third baseman Urshela, and now that means the bases are loaded against Smeltzer with 1 out. Bad to worse to worse to bad, and keeps getting worse, right? And that's after Larnach made the catch to get the first out of the inning and the first batter. It wasn't a problem, right? We got it done, and now you got a guy who's coming up 2 for 2 in Hager, who's got the bases loaded here against a pitcher on the ropes. And Smeltzer's not been bad either. He's throwing 96 pitches. He's out of the game now with the bases loaded, and we'll have a new guy coming in. We'll figure out who that is in a moment's time. But, right, it's just one of those tough things, that's for sure. So I'm going to just go quickly check Twitter, see if I'm missing anything. Yeah. Nothing I can quite seem to see here. So nobody's complaining about the Twins here, but it's one of those things, right? Like, the Twins could be so much better of a ball team, and they are so much capable of being a better ball team, but they just need to get there and be that better ball team. Whether you say that's by fixing the bullpen, whether you say that's by fixing anything, right? Fixing the hitting, fixing anything, right? This Twins team, I've pointed out maybe 12 flaws here in this game. Fixing the injury issue, right? Getting everybody healthy, that's a big one. There's so much you could argue with this Twins team, but end of the day, here, I'll just kind of read things off for you. This is where it gets going for the Minnesota Twins at this point. You've got the league leader in batting average. You've got the league leader in batting average so far here in June 17th. You're 2.5 months in, and you've got a guy going up against JD Martinez, for the league lead in batting average, who has now 2 hits and 3 at-bats tonight in Luis Arias. Now, yeah, you don't have anyone even close to the top 10 in RBIs. Jose Ramirez leading the way at 62. Your closest guy has almost half of 62 at 33, and then your next guy's at 32. Well, then it drops off substantially after that is the ugly part there too. So if you get where I'm going, it's a tough go right now, just trying to figure out who's going to be the hero. And we've talked, there are some all-stars on the Minnesota Twins, and all-stars by a mile, in my opinion. But when you just have these injuries, sure, when you have the pitching problems you do, it's an all-around tough thing. And you look at the ERA of the starters, right? Sonny Gray, 8 games started, 2.09 ERA. Devin Smeltzer, prior to coming into this game, was sitting pretty. And now Tyler Thornburg is coming in to pitch for the Minnesota Twins here with the bases loaded. Thornburg will take over for Smeltzer. But Smeltzer goes from having a 2.38 ERA now inflated to 3.29. Well, right there, team ERA just went up more too. And yeah, okay, Denny Colombe, where he was pitching excellent, he had .46 ERA in 10 games, 12 innings pitched. He was pitching a .63 average. I don't know if he's done for the season, but he's currently injured right now. So, and now, right, now it's 7-2 for the Diamondbacks after Hager singles and clears a guy around. So Tyler Thornburg comes out of the pen and promptly gives up a run. Well, a hit and a run, you could say. So again, right, there's just this Twins game, yeah, maybe a microcosm of the season here, the stretch against the Mariners and what will be the stretch against the Diamondbacks. And thing is, right, you're a first place team, but you keep putting up this stretch June. For how much longer is the question. And I think that's the entire discussion we're having here today, is for how much longer does a mid-pack ball team like the Twins in the month of June sit here and stay in first place, especially when you've got the RBI leader in the AL riding a 62 runs batted in on June 17th for the Cleveland Guardians, who are riding a 4-game winning streak. How long does that stick around? Jarrell Cotton, he's got a 2.03 ERA out of the bullpen. Giovanni Moran, 1.74. Trevor Megill, 2.08. Right? Like, there's some guys in the bullpen that in some innings have gotten the job done. But at the point of middle of June, right? Middle of June, and these guys have pitched 13, 13.1, 10.1, 12.1. They're injured, right? Like, that's not big inning needing relievers right there. And you get to your guys that are big inning relievers, right? Eating more innings. 22 innings for Emilio Pagan. He's got 9 saves in 12 opportunities, a 1-2 record, and a 2.45 ERA. Hasn't been bad. Hasn't been great, right? Yes, okay, 2.45 out of this Minnesota Twins bullpen. Phenomenal. Problem is, right, you put him in the high leverage situations, and he's blowing you 3/4 of his saves. That's a tough go. That's a tough go. Now, you also talk about, right, Joan Duran. He's been perfect on saves. 23 games played, 28 innings, 2.51 ERA. That, my friends, is a spotlight in the bullpen. That's huge. That's why he's getting all the innings he is. Yes, the injuries factor into that as well, but he's been phenomenal this season and one of, if not the most exciting guys to watch in the bullpen. Griffin Jax, another bright spot, 31 in the third innings. We talked about him yesterday in the All-Star video, where if you want a dark horse candidate out of this Minnesota Twins team, he's your guy, potentially, right? He's had 4 wins. He's had 1-for-1 in save opportunities. And he's been phenomenal in 31 in the third innings as far as the Minnesota Twins bullpen is concerned. Joe Ryan, 2.81 ERA, right? Obviously, he's battled some injuries. He's back and good to go. Tyler Thornburg, 3.09. Joe Smith, 3.0. And Smith's played 21 innings. Chris Archer, not bad, right? Chris Archer, based on being completely washed up from where he was a couple of years ago, eating you innings, 48.1, and giving you a decent shot at 3.35 ERA, still a little high for where this team is in the standings, right? But the rest of the guys ahead of him, more than likely getting the job done. And if Archer ever even closely resembles that form, you're going to be fine. So, right, you're sitting there. What? They got out of it? Sweet. All right. Friends, if I check the live tracker more than just rant, Twins got out of the bases loaded situation in the bottom of the fifth. So now we go to the top half of the sixth, only down 7-2, and Tyler Thornburg's able to get the job done. Big ups, right? And he doesn't get any earned run tacked onto him. So he's now solidly below a 3.09 ERA on the season. In fact, now pitching to whatever the heck ERA he's going to be credited with. They straight up haven't credited anything here, so I couldn't tell you. But Devin Smeltzer's ERA climbs to 3.52. That is what it is. Other than that, right, it's a who's run out there in this MLB season in 2022 for the Twins. Nobody after Archer's below 3.60. Yennier Cano played 11 and 2/3 innings. Cole Sands 16.1. Aaron Sanchez 8.33 ERA at 31 and a third innings pitched. Like, as soon as you get down to the bottom 10 guys, it is just that is why we are where we are, right? Bailey Ober pitching 7 games, a 4.01 ERA, right? Chris Paddock, he's injured obviously, but a 4.03 ERA. Caleb Thielbar, a 5.16 ERA in 22 and a third innings. That's going to kill you. Dylan Bundy, a 5.87 ERA as a starter in 10 games. Like, it's tough when every time you're looking down the bullpen, or every third or fourth, fifth day, you're looking at guys that just straight up are not going to get the job done for you. You're in trouble, and that's tough. Marcus, my man, this game commentary, I'd love to claim I'm Clemhawks. I am Yak. That is the big difference. You see the Clemhawks banner behind me. I've got a couple of investments that I've made in my setup over the years that allow me to be a little fancier than Clem in the current moment. But yes, Clem will have your game review if this Twins game gets any better. I would not expect to hear from him if the Twins on a Friday night, after working a full week, disappoint him like this and go out there and lose to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't imagine we'll be hearing from him, which is fair enough, and we won't blame him too much. But end of the day, I guess the big thing is, yes, Thornburg gives up a hit, but escapes with a two outs, and only gives up 1 run with the bases loaded in the bottom of the fifth. That's a huge victory. And we move to the top of the sixth, where Kepler's batting. Well, and that's I've got a little producer in my ear here. We got X Snipes in the producer's chair here in the headset. That's why I've got the headset on, if anyone's wondering. I've got the mic right here, but I've got the headset on to communicate. Essentially, right, what X Snipes pointing out here, Gilly's TV. Too many names for too many guys. Twins have 4 doubles tonight. They've doubled up on the Diamondbacks in the doubles department. They have 2 runs to show for it. They've also hit a home run. That's just it. However, pardon me, Diamondbacks don't have any doubles. That's home runs, and Luplow has 2 and has 3 RBIs. I think that ought to give you kind of what you're going for there. And the Twins have 2 errors. I think, okay, that's what I was missing. I knew something didn't seem right when Smeltzer had a couple of runs all over the place, but that makes sense now, and that's where it is. So, yeah, you know what? End of the day, for the Twins, I think you'd like to cash in a couple of your opportunities this game. And they had a guy at third. They had Sanchez at third last inning, and they couldn't cash him. So that's another hard problem there as well. You got to really go out there and start, as you trend towards the last 3 innings of this game, cashing your guys. But as we've kind of gone over with this Twins team here over the past month, is they're not that team that is a first place team currently. And Kepler, right, he grounds out to start this top half of the sixth, and now you got Celestino in a 2-ball count. And what does anything mean for the Twins if they can't go out there and beat a team like the Diamondbacks 2 out of 3? If they can't convincingly 2 out of 3 or sweep the Mariners, right? And that's kind of where the concern's coming. Is you lose this game against the Diamondbacks, the sweep or the 2-game victory against the Mariners is basically for naught, if we're being honest, because simply it means nothing at the end of the day when now you're 2-2 in your last 4. What ground did you gain? None. You're back to even, 500, and with the Guardians climbing up, charging the standings as much as they are, you're losing every bit of ground you gain every time you go out there and lose a game after winning a game. And as a Twins fan, I don't know if you should be alarmed by that. It's June. Are we concerned about being a 500 ball team in June? More than likely not. It's just talking points, right? At the end of the day, for me right now, it's just something to sit here and talk to you about here on Clemhawks and kind of gauge the interest from all of you back home and see where you're sitting, right? That's the end of the day. If I'm sitting here as a guy who's done YouTube for the better part of 8 years on Dolany TV and now helping Clem out here on Clemhawks over the past 3 months, is simply I'm just here trying to gauge what you guys are interested in listening, interested in discussing, and interested in hearing about as Twins fans currently. And all I can really come up with is there are some studs on this Twins team. So I see there's about 5 of you watching right now. If anyone wants to fill me in on something I need to discuss for you, let me know in the chat below. But right, for the Twins, there's a couple of all-stars. You got the Luis Arias setting up a benchmark that hasn't been hit in years, kind of for a batting average right now. You got Buxton being a unique combo that could, quite honestly, if he figures it out at the dish, even 25 batting points more, be one of the greatest seasons the Minnesota Twin has had in a while. Celestino's out as well, so that's the top of the second or sixth, done with 2 outs. Sorry, confused my numbers. But right, Joe Ryan, there's a couple of rookies that have emerged. There's a lot to like about the Minnesota Twins this year. Oh, don't let me forget that they're a first place ball team. Yes, I'm concerned about it. I'm talking all about it. Yes, they're still a first place ball team, my friends. But end of the day is, as an Oilers fan, you see I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan of the NHL. Not sure how familiar you folks are with that, but end of the day, being okay, being just good enough has never been good enough, if you know what I mean, right? As an Oilers fan, yeah, okay, we had a good season this year. We made the playoffs. Yeah, but, right? And that's kind of, I've been living and dying this Twins journey with Clem since 2016. As long as I've known Clem, I've been living and dying this journey with him. And obviously 2019, there was a lot of progress made here on Clemhawks with the Minnesota Twins, talking about them, covering them, and having an all-around great time discussing the Minnesota Twins on Clemhawks. And I was doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff for Clem, making sure he was set up for success when he was talking to you every day. However, right, imagine pouring in a season of effort, right? I think he started opening day and went all the way to the World Series. But imagine covering your team. It's such a good team. Record-setting ball club all across the MLB. And then you get to the playoffs, you run into the New York Yankees, and you're swept. How defeating is that? How much of a waste of effort does that feel like as soon as that is done, right? It is up, 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 and the bottom falls out, and you're in a pit. That's tough. Been there, done that as an Oilers fan. We were swept by the Jets last year, and let me tell you, last year was a very rough year on Dolany TV, trying to sort out where I was going in the future, what I was doing personally, and where I was going. And you know what? Based on those results, I'm glad I didn't invest the effort, because it would have never been worth it. And You know what? That's 2019 Minnesota Twins coverage for Clem. So now that's essentially what you're trying to figure out with this Twins ball team. Are they a team where a guy like me and Clem, who sit here and try to talk to you once a day, 6 times a week, whatever you want to say, and try and sit here and discuss the Twins with you and say, look, this is what I see, and through 162 games and anywhere between 3 to 20 ball games in the postseason, right? You're trying to build a story, you're trying to ride the wave, you're trying to enjoy it with the people that are watching along on Clemhawks. But problem is, if the Twins just 3-0, 2-0 if they're in the wild card, if that's where the Twins go with it, it's the bottom falls out and it's very deflating. And right, all of what I talked about now, all of the all-star stuff, anything that matters today, tomorrow, the next month doesn't matter anymore. The Twins now are currently in the middle of the 6th inning, going in the bottom half of the 6th. Larnach flew out to Luplow, who's having a heck of a ball game here despite struggling at the plate this season. But that's where, right, you can hear it. I'm getting a little emotional in my voice. It's just what it is, right? It's one of those tough things in sports. You ride the wave and it's highs and lows and away you go. But baseball more than any sport, because you play 162 ball games in a season, plus the postseason, plus spring training. There is a lot to cover, a lot to miss, and a lot to love all the way along. But as the story evolves, you hope it always turns out for the best, because every bit of effort you pour into the season, you want to see pay off at the end. And as a YouTuber that's done sports for 5+ years now, that is more than the truth. Even, okay, if you're an MLB The Show 22 Clemhawks subscriber tuning in and thinking, man, this guy's talking some facts right now. Think about it this way, right? You're playing MLB The Show 22. You have built this insane ball club at the start of the season. Couple guys crapped the bed. You traded their bum play out of town. You brought some superstars in, and you get into the postseason, and for some reason, it just doesn't work. No matter what you do, you can't mash the buttons. The sim's not working, whatever you want to say. And you just, okay, 3 games on the next season. Now I got to grind the whole off season, right? That's what I'm saying. It's just when that story's going along, you will just start building towards the end of the story, but never at once until it's settled for sure do you sit there and look at the end of the story as being a bad, negative time. And that's kind of where the Twins, like I said, find themselves right now, is they're in that very precarious spot of they've had a great start. They've gotten to the first place pole in the AL Central. They've got a 2-game lead that's going to go down to a 1.5 games over the Guardians if they lose against the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're a middle of the pack ball team in terms of the baseline stats in the current MLB. Room for improvement? Plenty. Room to drop off? Immense. However, end of the day is this Twins ball team still has a lot of their story to write. We have a lot to like with the All-Stars, everything going right, Luis Arias, whatever you want to say. But right now, as a Twins fan, just based on everything I've given to you to read about these Minnesota Twins as this game currently evolves and goes along, there's a lot that you still don't know. And that's fine. It is June 17th, right? There is way more than enough time to let things sort themselves out and evolve over time. That's fine and dandy. That's completely fair, and we can definitely talk about that later on. However, for the Twins, when you're a first place team, all you want to see is wins, 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 wins. And right, this Twins ball team has kept getting better, has kept adding, has kept being competitive for the past several years, past 5, 6, 7 years. And at some point, you got to punch your way through the drywall and get onto the other room and step into a dance you haven't been in before. And for the Twins, is that beating the Yankees in the postseason? For the Twins, is that going out there and winning a couple of postseason games? I don't care who you win them against. Even if you win two, you're doing better than you have in the past little bit, right? You get where I'm going? You're just about there. You're a first place ball team in June. Make it so the rest of the way, and then go out there and make some noise in the postseason. I think as an Oilers fan, that's what was the nicest thing about this postseason for us in the NHL playoffs, is we went out and we made noise. I don't care that we got swept by the Avalanche in the third round. Guys, we made noise. And that's, I think, what Twins fans should and need to be asking from the Minnesota Twins this season is ride this wave, go out there, be the excellent ball team you are, and make some noise at the end of the line. However, right, when you start playing this mediocre ball in June, it's a little concerning and a little cause for concern. I'm just going to take a second and check back with main control here to see if there's anything I've missed. We're at the end of the sixth inning. The Diamondbacks still lead 7-2. Buxton, Correa, Urshela are up. Main control, have I missed anything? So Cleveland and LA are tied 1-1 in the top half of the sixth. So, right, there's a positive too. Is yes, if you lose to the Diamondbacks tonight, there's a potential it goes down to either a game and a half, or it goes all the way up to 2.5 games, if I'm reading this correct, or potentially 3 because the Guardians have that weird record discrepancy. However, you get where I'm going, right, folks? I don't know. You can beat the stats to death, and at the end of the day, the boys just have to show up to the ballpark, hit the balls, and throw them past the batters. That's baseball. But as it currently sits, you're in the middle of June. You're a month out from the All-Star game. You're a month and a half out from the trade deadline. So there's a lot going on that could change everything I'm talking about right now, and that's great, right? That's baseball too. Is nothing is settled as long as you're in the race by July 31st. Anything is far from settled by July 31st. August 1st rolls around. It is 2 months crunch time. Whoever shows up then that even has a whiff of the postseason are the teams that make the postseason. Guaranteed 10 times out of 10, right? Unless you're the 2022 New York Yankees, who just cannot lose a ball game or lose a series to save their life, well, then you know what? You're pretty much guaranteed, right? A 750 win percentage. The Dodgers have been good for years. I don't even think the Dodgers are remotely close to that this year. Yeah, they're at a 629. Anyone in baseball even remotely close? The Mets are at 652. Holy crap, New York, have a year, boys. And like Houston's at 625, Minnesota's at 569, right? There's not much going on there, but you got to also remember the Twins have, next to the Cardinals, the second worst winning percentage of any division leader, right? Again, just finding a ticky-tacky, hold on, there you go stat for the Minnesota Twins right now, and that's tough because right now the Twins have a lot of those stats that you can pick on, choose to bat up against, and really make fun of. And that's not a good place to be when you're trying to go out there and win as many ball games as you can in June to get yourself to July. So, right, end of the day, that's where we're currently sitting. But yeah, I don't know what else to really say here other than the fact of the Twins are top of the seventh, right? Down 7-3 now, or 7-2, sorry, 7-2 still, to the Arizona Diamondbacks, one of the worst teams in baseball. Buxton lined out to begin the top half of the seventh. Correa is there 0 for 3 on the night, right? And for the Minnesota Twins. They've had 9 hits combined, but it's Buxton with 2 hits, Correa's 0 for 3, Urshela's got 1, Sanchez got 2, Arias has 2, Miranda has 1, Kepler has 1. You got nothing out of the 8 and 9 spots in the hit column, despite Celestino having a .321 batting average. He's got nothing in 3 at-bats. And just this whole Minnesota Twins lineup, especially this week, has just left me wanting more, if that makes sense. I think that's a fair assessment for what I've been saying here all along in this 45-minute live stream here on a Friday night. Is just they leave so much on the table for you just want more, right? Correa now grounds out. He's 0 for 4 in the ball game. And a guy who, he's been injured. He's been battling this season. But, right, he's batting .297. But, end of the day, he's making all that money. You just want more. Every time he's up there, you want something big to happen. You want an oh wow moment out of him. And against the Arizona Diamondbacks, this is what I'm saying. Not that it matters that they're a bad team, but they are a bad team. And your bankroll player in Carlos Correa is 0 for 4 after coming off a series win. And that's against, right, Matt Bum's got a 3.45 ERA. You got to be able to do something against him, especially when he pitches 6 innings. But you didn't. Poppin's got a 2.70 ERA. Obviously, that's impacted quite heavily by the fact that he's gone out there and now pitched 2/3 of an inning and knocked it down some more. But right, it's one of those things. They just keep leaving so much on the table that they would be able to go out there and get for you, but they just aren't right now. And that's been the entire tale of June. And yes, it all comes back to, I think, any time in baseball that you're having one of these stretches like the Twins have had over the past 2.5 weeks is, yes, the injuries are there. The injuries are catching up. The injuries are what they are, and unfortunately, sometimes you fall victim to that. Don't get me wrong. But there's the pitching, there's the bullpen, there's everything all involved. It's not just clear-cut, well, it's injuries. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. No, it's not quite as simple as that. And for the Twins, that's where you'd like to see things kind of evolve here in the next couple of weeks. If you're going to see any improvement, is go out there, stop leaving games on the table, stop leaving more to be desired, and just go out there and do it. Do the dang thing, right? And I think that's not too hard of an ask. I think as a Twins fan, that's a pretty fair ask of a ball team that is a division leader, is fully capable of providing those great moments that we all want. And, right, you know what? All of a sudden, you do that, you shut guys like me up, and it's all laughing stock from there. End of the day. Folks, if you agree with me, I hope you'll find the time to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the stream, and come by again for a discussion video, a game review by Clem. Whatever you want, check it out on Clemhawks. There is 1,600 videos on this channel for you to check out and enjoy. I quite welcome you, if you can find the MLB videos Clem did back in 2019, to go through that, relive some of that history, because quite honestly, it is fascinating to go through from Clem's eyes the 2019 ball season that I helped put together on Clemhawks. It's quite a trip. There's some great this day in baseball history videos that he's done that have done fairly well over the years. There's a ton to like here on Clemhawks, and I hope you'd find it in your heart to stick around and hang out with us as we go through this story that is going to be the Twins 2022 season. Right, you're now in the middle of the 7th inning. You've stuck with it, right? You have 9 hits. If you're the Minnesota Twins, you have 9 hits, but when's the last time you got a hit that resulted in anything, right? 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down in the 6th and 7th. For the Twins in the 5th, it was 4 up, 3 down. Well, that's not impactful. For the Twins in the 4th, it was 3 up, 3 down. They've gotten 1 base runner on since the 4th inning. And technically, the top of the 3rd is your last big moment where, right, So you got a couple of RBIs, you got a little bit done, but still you only sent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 batters to the plate. So you've sent 4 batters above minimum to the plate since the top of the third in this ball game. You're down 7-2 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. You want to know why? I think it's pretty obvious. So anyway, Varsho just flew out. Thornburg's still on the mound. He's now pitched an inning in two complete innings, pardon me, over to the bullpen, not surrendered a run. He's been solid. So right there, if you're going to take anything away from this ball game, I guess you take away the fact that now all of a sudden the bullpen comes into a do-nothing game and puts up 2 innings of results and is getting the job done. Tyler Thornburg, not a guy that's, an elite player in this MLB by any means, but a guy that comes in, steps in on a do-nothing Friday night in June and puts in a good effort. You know what? We respect those kind of efforts sometimes. And that's, to my point, what I'm talking about. Sometimes you need those, and the Twins are getting that tonight, and that's solid enough for me. I don't have anything to complain about there. What do you have to complain about there? Nothing. So right there you go, you enjoy it, and you keep taking it on, right? So other than that, do I have anything to add in terms of Clemhawks maintenance on the other ends of things? I really don't think I do, folks. So let's just turn our attention to this ball game here, where Thornburg is now through 2 1/3 innings, and quickly you've got the Diamondbacks going 2 up, 2 down here in this bottom half of the 7th inning. And let me tell you, if I could ever get my top halves and bottom halves and all that figured out, my numbers figured out, we'd be flying. But unfortunately, there's a reason I'm sitting here in my basement talking to you on YouTube as opposed to calling a ball game in somewhere like New Hampshire for the Fisher Cats. So Thomas hits an infield single to third. Urshela has had a rough game over there at 3rd inning. Obviously, I have no clue what that ball at third base looked like, but clearly there was something to be done there. Maybe if it's an infield single, and you know what? He gets aboard with 2 outs. That's only the 2nd hit in 2 1/3 innings allowed by Tyler Thornburg. So not like he's having a rough game by any means. Like I said, we stand the fact that he's been out there and doing the job out of the bullpen despite Smeltzer giving up 6 runs in 4 1/3 innings. So we like that. We don't mind what he's been doing there at all, and that's good with me. But we're currently just waiting for something to take the right shape here, right? If Thornburg can just finish off this inning, get out of the bottom of the 7th, down by 5, and maybe let this Twins team come back on one of those excellent stretches that they do in the 8th and 9th sometime, and go out there and be that clutch hitting team and get the job done late for a bullpen hero, well, you know what? That's not a bad thing at all, right? And now in an 0-2 count is Thornburg against Hager, who's perfect on the night of 3 for 3. So, yeah, I don't know. You just go out there and do the dang thing and hope it works out, I guess. And that's kind of what the Twins are trying to do late in this ball game. Obviously, yes, it'd be nice to see some guys getting on the bats and getting the job done, but for the Twins right now, that's not really an option. So you just hope they continue to just plug away, and that's what the pitching's done in Thornburg. So now it'll be time after you turn the lineup up in the 8th inning to do that for Thornburg and see what happens. And that's the other side too. You could sit here and say, hey, Yak, why is the numbers on the live stream so low? Well, A, you're sitting here playing against the Diamondbacks. I think that's number one, part and parcel for why the numbers are low. And number 2, as to why the numbers are low, well, the Twins are down. A Minnesota Twins channel is streaming a game where the Twins are down 7-2 against one of the worst teams in baseball. I'm something of a scientist myself, and I say it has something to do with the ball game. Quite honestly, right? And Hager strikes out, so there you go. At least Thornburg gets out of the inning, and now you go to the top of the 8th, and now is it time where the Twins find some time to rally here and figure out if they can't go win this ball game? I don't know. Potentially it is. Potentially it isn't. I'm going to take another second here to check with main control and see if there's anything I've missed here, as we're now almost solidly an hour into Yak just blabbering about the Twins on YouTube. Main control is not there. Main control is eating supper. Classic. Anyway, bottom of the 6th, the Guardians and Dodgers are still tied at 1. So that is good news. The Rays lost to the Baltimore Orioles 1-0. That is very positive news. And in terms of anything else, KC is up 5-1 on the Oakland Athletics, and Seattle is up 8-0 on the LA Angels. Absolutely dumping on them. That is for sure. What else do we got going here? Anything we can sit here and tell you about? Like I said, the Angels are getting dumped on by the Mariners. That's pretty much all my timeline because I follow a lot of people from the West Coast and they are big Mariners fans out there on the West Coast. But yeah, there's not much to know. Yep. Yeah, not much there. End of the 7th inning. Hager was the last out. And we'll see what this ball team can bring. It's going to be Sanchez, Arias, and Miranda up to the dish here in the top half of the 8th inning. Sanchez 2 for 3 with a double this game. Arias, same stat line. And then you got Miranda, who's 1 for 3 with a strikeout and an RBI on this run so far. So you'd like to see, obviously, a little production from guys that have this season been getting it done for the Minnesota Twins. That would be a big up here for the Twins if they could go out there and get these guys to produce some results for them here late in this ballgame. And I don't know. I guess this would be a question for those of you actually watching or listening to the game back home. Going into the top of the 8th, you're down by 7-2. Are you trying to win this game, or are you just trying to make it respectable? That's my question. And that's kind of where I go with this. Gary Sanchez grounded out, shortstop gets it over to Walker, and it's done. So Sanchez ain't getting on base. But that's the question, right? Are you just trying to make a 7-2 game respectable, lose 7-4, 7-5? And you know what? That's enough to wash your hands and say, hey, we tried tonight, right? 7-2 is obviously starter gave up a bunch of runs. Bats went quiet after the 3rd. That's how you summarize this game. Fair, right? I've laid it out. That is the story of this ball game so far. But if you can make it respectable, hey, we pushed late. Hey, did you see that hit Arias had in the 8th inning? Hey, right? Like right now, right? Buxton had a home run. Yeah, Buxton had a home run. He had 4 doubles in the ball game. Thornburg pitched 2 2/3 innings. No one's ever going to talk about that for him. But right there's all of a sudden you make it 7-5. There's some stuff to talk about. There's some things to like. But right now, as I said, the summary of this ball game through 7 innings is the Twins starter gives up a ton of runs through 4 1/3 innings, and the bats go dead silent. You get 4 extra guys up to the plate through innings 3 through 7. And now through the top of the 8th, you've only gone one of the minimum. So you see where I'm going here? It's a tough sell to say there's anything to like in a 7-2 ball game that's featured the Twins doing this tonight. That's I guess what I'm saying. However, if you change things up here and you start getting some guys on base late, you can kind of make it worthwhile and salvage it a bit. And that's what I'm hoping the Minnesota Twins can find in their heart to do tonight, is just salvage a bit. But Arias grounds out to the second baseman. That's the second time in a row he's done that this game. And that will give us 2 outs in the top half of the 8th inning. So for the Twins right now, you're all of a sudden bummed out a little bit here. You're down to 2 outs in the top of the 8th. You got 4 at-bats left guaranteed in this ball game. Miranda's up to the dish, and you look at who's following him, and it's a tough go, right? Miranda, Kepler, Celestino, Larnach. You combine those, they are a combined 2 for 12 in this, or 2 for 11 in this ball game so far. That's not going to do it. That's not a winning formula right there. And right, those are your guaranteed at-bats the rest of the way home. This ball game is the bottom half of your lineup, and they've got a total of 2 hits in a game that you've got 9 hits in so far. So, and you're trying to rally from down 7-2. That's right, that's tough. So, as much as you'd like to have some storylines to talk about tonight, I think it's a pretty much go to bed, enjoy your night, right? It's now currently 52 minutes to midnight in Minneapolis, I believe, and that's where we're sitting, right? Is you might as well not be watching the Twins. However, give it a second, because we just got a double. Miranda just doubled the left and puts a man at second in the top half of the 8th with 2 outs and Max Kepler on base. Now that start of the turn, right, the bottom half of the lineup that I was just talking about that hasn't had a productive night, 2 for 11, is now 3 for 12, batting .250. Okay, don't get me excited. And Max Kepler, who's had a walk and a hit and 2 at-bats, is up to the plate to try and do something here to start turning the dials on this game a little bit. And if there's anyone you want there right now in a do-nothing game, top of the 8th, down 5 runs in a game against the worst team in the MLB, it's Kepler. However, Kepler just got out, flied out to left field with a loop low, and that'll do it for the top half of the 8th inning. Well, you know what? You got one more batter than the minimum up to the plate. So now if you go to the lineup card and you say, well, Celestino, Larnach, Buxton are coming up, suddenly, right, Celestino breaks out of this mini little slump this game, gets a hit, and all of a sudden he's on base. Larnach doesn't create a double play or advances the runner or does anything of substance half useful in a ball game late. That gets Buxton up to the plate with a guy on, hopefully, preferably in a good situation. And now, okay, you know what? Maybe worst case scenario, you lose this ball game 7-3. Hey, Buxton gets on. Now Correa is up with a chance to snap out of his 0 for 4 at bat thing here. Well, hold on. You know what? Okay. Start turning, right? Think about the clock. Turn slowly at first, but you start turning it a little bit more and a little faster, and things start picking up steam. So that's where you're down but not out. But again, it's not a matter of winning this ball game right now when you're down 7-2 going into the top half of the 9th inning. It's a matter of making it respectable, and it's a matter of making it count. And that's obviously what Thornburg did with his time, was he made his 2 2/3 innings count, right? Lower his ERA. Give the Twins a chance to keep going up and up and up and hit some balls. They didn't, but they had a chance to keep going up and up and up and up, and they blew it. That's fine. And yeah, is what it is. So, I don't know. Do I have anything more to add than that? I think I've talked myself silly here. And now you just got to go into the bottom of the 8th, top half of the 9th, and we can go to bed. End of the day on a long weekend. Let's go. So, what else do we got going on here? Got anything we need to know? Looks like it's been a pretty quiet night on YouTube for sports, which is not a bad go at all either there. We're still in the middle of the 8th inning for some reason over there in Arizona. Don't know why, don't know how, but it just is what it is, and we'll... Oh, it's a pitching change? Okay, there we go. We got an addition there. Oh, okay. I don't know. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, you're not wrong. Tyler Duffy's pitching. Oof. You know, this man should have been traded a while ago, and somehow he's still out there for the Minnesota Twins. So, if you're going to hope for him, you'll literally You literally just go out there and tell them, hey, pitch a clean inning. Please. Please, we're begging you. That's about all I'm asking here. Tyler Duffy, just pitch a clean inning, please. And I'd appreciate the heck out of that. That's all I care. Tyler Duffy, don't let me down here. That's all I'm asking. So Tyler Duffy now with a 1-2 count against Perdomo of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He now gets to a 2-2 count. And that's another guy. Actually, I haven't mentioned him. I did a video on him as well. It is just like it's time to trade Tyler Duffy and get on with it. And the Minnesota Twins just have not. And that's kind of unfortunate because they could really use an opportunity to move along a guy who's been with the organization for a while and get him into a different spot and maybe get something back that's going to change the dynamic of this team one way or another or some way positively. And right now the Twins are just kind of holding on to a guy who's been there, done that, and isn't doing it currently. And that's, I think, in my opinion, as a guy who's watched a lot of hockey and teams that tend to do that with their older guys, it's not the right formula. And I think for the Twins, a fresh face in that bullpen in a acquired state for a Tyler Duffy trade wouldn't be a bad thing. At the same rate, he's a depreciating asset as well. So maybe you go out there and get yourself a prospect for him. That could be something down the line. I don't know. Again, maybe a move at the trade deadline. But that said, Duffy's now got 2 outs in this bottom half of the 8th inning. Potentially the last time anyone for the Twins has to throw a ball tonight. And Duffy's come out and responded and thrown 2/3 of an inning, and now he's zipping along. All right, game on, right? And Duffy's got a 6.20 ERA this season. So don't kid yourself wrong. These are a lot of important innings he's getting right now. Those 2/3 innings, I'd have hated to see what his ERA was to begin this bottom half of the 8th inning, because 2/3 of an inning is going to impact it that much at 6.20, and that's the scariest thing. You have to be committed to being bad to maintain a duration of a season above a 5.0 ERA. And I don't think Duffy's that pitcher. Obviously, that's why I think he's capable of it. And there you go, Rojas flies out, and now you go over down here, and Duffy's down to a 6.12 ERA. So Duffy, in a span of 1 inning, dropped his ERA. Let me just go here and see what his season ERA was at before coming into this game. In the span of this inning, he dropped his ERA from 6.38 to 6.12. That is a 26-point drop in 1 effective, clean inning. You got to love that. That's what you're here for, down 7-2. And again, right? These are the stories within the stories that don't get told at the end of the year that make every moment of everything you've done worthwhile. And for the Twins, that's a positive development. Tyler Duffy just dropped his ERA, his ballooned ERA, by a 1/4 point, giving you a chance to quickly get back on the sticks in the top half of the 9th. That's a win. If you want the most basic wins in the MLB, that, my friends, is a win. And that's a big win as a Twins fan. Quite honestly, that is a huge win. To see a guy that, right, he's down on his luck, and in a do-nothing ball game against a bad team, he still has enough stuff to get the job done. Gold. That's literally, yes, it's asking the bare minimum to happen, but you got it, right? It's a bad ball game to begin with, but you didn't get screwed over more than you already were. And that's, at the end of the day, to me, when it comes down to losing a ball game, all that matters. Don't take it any worse than you have to. And the Twins, lucky enough there to have both Thornburg come out. Yes, he surrenders a run with the bases loaded, but everything we've seen since that moment has not said that's what sunk us, right? Oh, the Twins would have sent more guys to the plate if they were down only 6-2. They would have had the belief in themselves. Fancy talk, friends, fancy talk. Back it up. But down 7-2, You get two bullpen arms that, right, for Thornburg, he improves below a 3.0 ERA, and Duffy drops by a quarter of a point in one inning. Boom. Victory to be had. Right the frig on. So lineup change. Killaroff will pinch hit for Celestino. There it is. I knew at some point he had to be associated with this ball game after getting called up today. He's batting a cool .672. Sorry, .72 on the season. But end of the day, he gets a chance to come in and maybe kickstart this, right? Celestino comes in, doesn't have a ball game, gets pinch hit for with Killaroff batting left-handed against Wendelken. And all right. So Killaroff gets to come in, and it's not a big spot, but it's also not a small spot, right? This is the manager saying, hey, get in there. You've been struggling. Here's an opportunity. Go out and do something. It's as simple as that. End of the day, when somebody puts you into pinch hit late in a ball game, unless it's a high pressure leverage situation and you're that guy, if you're scuffling and you get thrown in there, it's literally, hey, go start something. Have a good at bat. You know what? If you haven't been taking the first pitch, take the first pitch and see how it feels. Simple, right? Well, Killaroff's not a full rookie. He's been up and down several times over the past couple of years. He's a guy that, yes, he's still establishing himself, but end of the day, he still needs to start something. However, he gets out to start this top half of the ninth. So the Twins see Killaroff strike out. So worst case scenario for Killaroff happens right there. And that's kind of suck. That kind of sucks. But you know what? Hey, now Larnach comes up to the dish. He's had a bad night at the plate. And again, right, I'm all about, I will tooth and nail lose a ball game just looking for somebody somewhere to do something down the stretch. And yet again, the Twins are looking like they're going to fail to send the minimum or more than the minimum to the plate as Larnach is out for the second out of the inning. And now you got Buxton coming up to the dish with nobody on, right? This is, when we entered the bottom half of the ninth, I was talking about best case scenarios for the top half. Now you're in the worst case scenario. Buxton's DHing, and you got to say, come on, man. What are you going to do? And he's had a homer. He's had a double. He's had an RBI. He's 2 for 4. Is there more in the tank? Down 7-2, or is it just can it and go home and move on to the next one? That's the tough part about this Twins team in June. There's been too much of that. Fight to the last tooth and nail, and you might start getting somewhere here in this month. So, right, I think I could talk myself silly about this Twins team all night if I really wanted to, but game's almost done, potentially, unless Buxton and the Twins lead a 2-out rally unlike anything we've seen in a while. Line them up, knock them down, homer, done. However, that is ball game as Buxton grounds out to the second baseman Hager, and we, my friends, are done for the night. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in here on Clemhawks. I'm Yak for Gillies TV back in the studio back home up north. I am up on out of here. Have your